Welcome, I'm Darren, and I'll be your guide today as I rank the best baseball card parallels of 1994. So, with this list of baseball cards, this is a really pleasant list. It's a nice list. I do like it across the board, which I'd hope so. These are the best designs, but there were 14 designs that I considered to be the parallels, the different parallels for 1994. I didn't include the Stadium Club draft cards, prospects. I guess it was draft. I think it was the draft. I think that's what it was called. I did not differentiate between score and the score rookie and traded gold rush cards. So 14 was the number of designs that I was looking at, and that gave me 7 and 7. There is one card I'd like to put on this list, but that would have made it 8 and 6, so it's over on the other list. But really, it's not much different than the worst card here, or really all 4 cards down at the bottom of this list. All of them are pretty interchangeable, and I could shift them around pretty evenly. I'm comfortable with where they are, but I mean, even just before I did this ranking, or recorded this video, I already made a slight adjustment to it. So there are 4 cards, 2 honorable mentions, and then 4 and 5 that are pretty balanced. And then there is a very clear 3, and then the top 2 to me are comfortably separated even from that. But the designs in this set, there's nothing here really spectacular. There's one close, but nothing's really spectacular. But a lot of these are just really kind of pleasant parallels, which is a good thing. I mean, right off the bat, the first of the honorable mentions I have is Finest Refractors. And with refractors, this has always been an awkward one for me because I like the idea of refractors. I like the technology, what they created. It's just that the Finest cards, they don't do a good job of showcasing the whole effect very well. We wouldn't really see that till Topps Chrome. Okay, so that's not entirely true. We're actually going to get back to refractors on this very list, but Finest had a tough time really capitalizing on refractors because the designs tended to be too busy and they weren't designed for refractors, they were designed for the base cards. And the 1994 base card for baseball is pretty decent. I do like it. I don't love it, not at all, but it's for Finest, it's unusually good. The problem is when you shift over to the refractor effect, setting aside the rookie cards, which are those are pretty impressive. But for the main cards in the set, it's disappointing because the refractor kind of appears in various places, but most of the card just kind of gets washed out, and you don't get the opportunity to really see the card be improved by the refractor. It's 2 different things. The refractor is one type of design, and then the base card that they went with here is a whole nother, and they just don't blend together. So to me, whenever I look at these cards, I'm not going to say that it holds the cards back, but it doesn't improve the cards at all. So this is a case where I go, well, at some point they'll figure out what to do with refractors. This was not it. The other honorable mention I have is the Stadium Club Golden Rainbow cards, which is one that I could easily put further along on this list. It's an interesting card. That's the beauty of it. They have the tear mark down at the bottom with the player name where the foil gets replaced by this effect, which is, it really is quite interesting. But what I really like is they have the effect on the Stadium Club logo as well. So both parts of that card have an interest to them. They are entertaining and they're different, so different, which is wonderful. It's not the most aesthetically pleasing card, but it takes the original card and it makes it more unique and more unusual, and I like that. Overall, though, it's still a pretty lacking card. I step directly over to the number 5, so now we're actually in the top 5, and at number 5 I have the Donruss parallel, which is okay, so this is weird because I love with this card paired up directly with the base card. When the 2 of them are right next to each other, it looks really amazing. But when you separate it away and either have it on its own or surrounded by other cards, it's too much holofoil. I mean, there's no interest to it. Yes, it does have it has light relief for all of the text in it, but there's no other part of the card that works in concert with it as a contrast to it. So there's like no Donruss logo because that's in that box, and everything else is in the box on the card, and it's just too much holofoil. It runs together. Now, on the plus side, it allows these very good images to be very distinct, but the whole effect down at the bottom just doesn't work on an individual basis because there's no interest to it. So I can't. It's tough. It's really tough because every time I look at it, I go, oh, that is so cool, and then I get bored with it and I move on. That's kind of the way it is. And number 4, though, this is the first one where I start to go, okay, actually, this is I like this, only partially, which is the Stadium Club First Day cards. The First Day production cards for 1993, they created this plaque with holofoil. Gorgeous. 1994 with baseball, they did the same thing, which looks great, and that's why it's here at number 4, because I love the way that it looks. The problem is, it was designed to go with 1993, not with 1994. 94 has this kind of, it's got a tear mark down at the bottom for the theme, so the theme is supposed to be kind of gritty and rough-edged, and they would make a First Day production logo for that for football a little later on in the year, where it really did work well and created like a composition. Here, however, that plaque is very clean, very nice. The rest of the card is the exact opposite, so there's no relationship between them. It's slapped on there. So I think it's much less effective than it had been in 1993. And it was time for them to move on. They hadn't yet moved on. They would very shortly. And so that's why I don't have, well, that's part of the reason I don't have it higher up on the list, but it does look good regardless. So number 3 is now when we're starting to get into something truly distinct, which is the Bowman's Best refractors. So now we've gotten back to the refractors, and this is a card that's literally designed to showcase refractors. Thank goodness they finally did this. Now, Bowman's Best is the thing that I think really saved the whole refractor experience, because these high-end cards do such a great job of showcasing the very thing that makes refractors great, which is that whole field that is able to really glow in interesting ways. And they played around with it on these Bowman's Best cards. I don't love the Bowman's Best card design because it's kind of like they've thrown a bunch of stuff on there to see what works before they go ahead and start to design with it. It looks like a test opportunity, and I wish that there was more of an interesting design here with baseball, as we would be seeing in 1995. But for 1994, for this baseball set, it at least captures the spirit of the refractor effect, which is the whole point of what we're talking about here. So this is where the refractor works. Finest? I don't think so. But here, very much so. But like I said, the card itself isn't quite, it's not interesting enough. That's the thing. When I move over to number 2, now I'm moving over to a card that is a lot less bold, but it's the Upper Deck Electric Diamond cards, where they have, it's kind of like a marriage between the 1992 Upper Deck basketball and 1993 Upper Deck SE basketball sets, combined together to give this wonderful light intricacy to the effect, where they have a little bit of text on the side for the team name, and they have the player name, and they have the Electric Diamond text down at the bottom, all sparkly. But it's also very small and understated, very hidden in there. It's almost like walking under a tree with open branches, and you see the stars twinkle as they go in and out of being blocked by the branches. And it kind of has that quality, which is neat. I do happen to like the more bold look that we would see in football and in hockey later on in the year. And that's the big difference here with this, is that they did a good job of understanding that the border is delicate. And so the effect is delicate as well. So it balances out, but there's nothing really strong about it. It just has a light twinkliness to it. So, I mean, I really like it, but I don't quite love it. Which brings me to number 1, which is the Pinnacle Museum Collection cards, which I actually don't quite love either. This one, though, is really close. Now, it's Dufex, and that's always great, and I love the radial light coming from the Pinnacle logo. Gorgeous effect on this card. And the player is well, he's all one tone. He either brightens up, flashes, and then he disappears. That's the problem, is that they didn't bother to do the satiny quality of the player. It's just all of a sudden you see him. But I shouldn't say that's the only thing, because actually the bigger thing is that the design for 1994 just isn't very good. Is it better than football? When it comes to these, with this design effect, I don't think it's better than football. I think the football design was kind of designed for the trophy collection. Here with the museum collection, it disappears. I mean, I would say that you can better see the design on the card on the base card rather than on here. It's not a problem. It's just that the card has so much potential other than just that radial pattern. The radial pattern is gorgeous. I love it. But there's nothing more to it. And so this card could be a lot better, which we would see coming up. But for this year, still, it's the best of all of the 1994 parallels. And the fact that they had leaped so far into 1994, where they had very few parallels in 1993. 94, like I said, we already had 14 that I just pulled out for this. And they had a lot of really good and, in most cases, quite interesting parallels to choose from that they explored and that we got to enjoy. So that's my ranking of the 1994 parallels for baseball cards. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I do urge you to do so. Definitely check out my other videos, and thank you very much for watching.